All right. Good morning, everyone. Another Monday in the books. It feels like a Monday today, no question, but I think a lot of the days do while we're dealing with this. And welcome to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. For those of you watching live, thanks for joining us. For everyone that's picking it up in syndication or listening to the podcast, thank you for tuning in. As always, I am your host, Adam Smith, with Just the Tips Coaching, and with me pretty much almost all the time is our marketing director and one of our other coaches, Jen Wayboer. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning.
And we've got a really cool guest for you guys today. This is going to be a unique show, to say the least, not our usual MO. I could probably go on and on with the list of things that Joel does or has done or has worked on, but Joel Comm and I met at Social Media Day Denver a couple of years ago. That was the event at that facility down by the football stadium, and then Jen and I attended the subsequent one, and Joel and I got to spend some time together. He even managed to coax an autographed copy of my book out from under me, but lucky guy. But Joel, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time out. I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to do it.
Cool. So, Joel, I mean, in addition to being what the industry and certainly what goes on in the Denver market and the social media world would consider you to be something of a social media expert, you've got a lot of other things going on. You're a podcaster. You've got a really solid handle on cryptocurrency. Tell us a little bit about you. What are you up to these days?
Yeah, that term expert is always so funny. We use it for marketing, but really what is a real expert?
Well, you know more shit about some of these subjects than the rest of us.
Yeah, okay,
All right.
I'll take that.
All right.
More about some, less about others. I just know I've been, playing in the sandbox for a long time, in the social media world since MySpace. And so seeing the coming and going of many different platforms, and I'm playing with a lot of the newer ones right now, especially the decentralized platforms, because, whether people want to admit it or not, the tech giants are very centralized. That is, without a doubt. And they have an agenda. They're very one-sided in terms of their politics and their leanings, and they are actively silencing voices of those that they disagree with. This isn't surprising. It's demonstrable, and it's getting them in trouble because they're currently treated as platforms, not publishers. But if they begin to be treated as publishers and are liable for the content on their site, now they've got some real issues to deal with. So I've got my eye on the new decentralized platforms that are not censoring voices that don't agree with them, and they range the gamut from sites that are more like Twitter to sites that are more like YouTube. And so because I'm in this blockchain and cryptocurrency world and doing now 3 years of the Bad Crypto podcast with my co-host Travis Wright, we've really gone down this rabbit hole, and there's some really promising sites and applications out there.
Okay. So let's back up a little bit because I'm really curious as to this idea that they are the existing platforms, ones outside of the blockchain arena, are not behaving themselves in an appropriate manner. Are we saying that there's more to this than just the capitalistic mindset? Let's make some money?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they have agendas. They have a political beliefs, a belief in the way the world should operate and what should be said and what ideas are worthy of sharing and what are not. And they are actively silencing those that they disagree with. Now, they put a label on it, right? They say, abuse of terms of service or hate speech. But I can go down, send me to Twitter right now and I can show you hundreds of, tweets that would fall under those same terms, but because of what those people are saying, they're not getting banned. right? Because of the position they're taking, even though what they're saying is perhaps equally offensive, they get to be there. So it's just very one-sided and very selective. And it's not a surprise. We're talking about Silicon Valley. They're very much in a bubble out there, and they're entrenched in a way of thinking, and they don't understand how anybody else could think anything other than what they believe. And it's ominous. It's a bad thing. There's been a lot of insiders that have come forth and shared on video, either with their names and faces shown or anonymously, having had worked at Google or Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, what really goes on there. And it's the same type of thing that goes on in our mainstream media. The editorial editor for the New York Times resigned, Barry Weiss. She resigned last week as a centrist, and talked about the type of abuse that she received from her fellow writers and editors at the New York Times. And she outed them and said, this is intolerable, and I can't work here anymore. And so it's a pervasive mindset in our culture, in Silicon Valley, and the tech giants are all part of that.
Wow.
I love that we're going this direction, by the way, Andy, and I didn't know what we were going to do, but this is the truth, and people need to hear it. And if they say, oh, that's nonsense, there is so much evidence of this. I mean, just pages and pages, days and days, videos and videos. You cannot look at this and say that the mainstream media and the tech giants are not unfairly biased.
Wow. And boy, what a shame to. And don't get me wrong, I'm certainly a capitalist, and I'm certainly, I want to make money, pay my bills, feed my family, those kinds of things. But
those are good things.
Those are good things. But to take a political stance in a capitalistic environment just seems very strange to me. And I guess part of it that really bothers me is it may actually be affecting their ability to generate more revenue.
Oh, it's definitely affecting their ability. But
why would you do that?
If I was a shareholder for one of these companies, and I'm not, but if I was, I would be very upset. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you shooting us in the foot here? These are our customers. Don't play editor. Don't play publisher here. Don't play George Orwell. This is not 1984 where we censor speech. They have the right to do it, because it's their platform. Sure. But again, it's my hope that those right now they're operating under an act that was created to treat internet sites as platforms. And this was created more than 2 decades ago, because in the very early days of the internet, when you had bulletin boards and chat rooms, you couldn't have this public discourse and be responsible for everything people said. And so they were excluded under this act. I think it's called 320. I'm not exactly sure, because I'm not a lawyer and don't follow it that closely. But when the platforms begin to take the approach that this is acceptable speech and this isn't, now you're not acting as a platform, a town hall where people can gather. You're acting as a publisher. And that's different, because as a publisher, you are now liable for everything that is said on your platform. And so that's even more dangerous for them, because now they really have to moderate and edit. So they're scared of people with opposing views. They will claim that, no, we're protecting the site, but they're not. They're chasing people away.
Well, they're doing a unique job of that. I think for the most part, our social media audiences are aware that we've started to do a lot of this work on YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter and Insta. And when we are focusing on Facebook, we're doing it through Jen's portal, because I am currently on a 30-day sentence in Facebook jail. I posted a video of my bread machine kneading a loaf of dough, or a ball of dough. I guess you don't call it a loaf at that point. And Facebook thought that was nudity. And I've got to admit it was. The bread had no crust yet.
Yeah.
So it was a nude loaf of bread.
Naked dough.
Naked
I mean,
dough.
there you go.
Yeah, so absolutely. All right. So, Joel, how does this differ in these newer platforms? And Aaron talked about it with us, and we all talked about it at Social Media Day. In the blockchain arena, we're obviously still able to maintain that, what would now be considered an antique kind of mentality, and actually not censor, not moderate, not be a publisher.
Yeah, so there's definitely some challenges in that. But when you're decentralizing, that means nobody is in control of, where the content is housed. In a centralized service like Facebook, they can take you down. And YouTube, I know plenty of people. We had our account closed for erroneously on Bad Crypto for more than a year before I met somebody who's like, oh, they shouldn't have done that. And they got it reopened up again. We lost all these views. So, the old saying is don't build on rented land. You can lose your Facebook account, as you just demonstrated, with something completely innocuous. You can permanently lose your YouTube account. You can permanently lose your Twitter, your Instagram, any of these if you offend the wrong person. So you've got sites like Library, lbry.com. It's actually a desktop application, and you can watch it on the web that hosts decentralized video, which means it's not in one location. Everybody on Library is sharing little bit, kind of like a BitTorrent, little bits and pieces of the hosted video. So there is no way for any one centralized service to go in and say, we're taking that down. It's not possible. It's not possible when it's decentralized. And you actually earn cryptocurrency for using the service, and for when people watch your videos, you get rewarded. Look, right now, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, they're all necessary evils, right? They, in the beginning, I believe their intention was good, and they brought us together. I think the net effect of them now is turning negative. We still need them because it's still where the people are, but the time is coming where the tide will turn. Nothing stays the same forever, right? And so we're there now, but one of my goals is to leverage moving people over. In fact, Library has a great, and I don't own Library. They have a great tool that allows you to import your entire YouTube library into Library. So you'll have a copy of everything. Every time I post a video on YouTube, it goes to Library as well. So if I ever do lose my YouTube channel, all my videos are still on the web. I mean, I'm talking, 700 of them or so. You get closed, you lose all that.
Wow, that speaks volumes, especially the part about don't build on rented land. I hope our audience really takes that one to heart. And yes, we do know that these are all necessary evils. So tell us a little bit more about how that makes an impact on your podcast. In fact, tell us about your podcast. How do we find it? What's it about? How did you start? How do you build your audience? I guarantee a lot of our listeners would love to know about doing a podcast in the way that you do it. Although I'll bet their content is different.
Let me set the stage with this. On this day, 25 years ago, I registered my first domain. I'm celebrating the 25th anniversary of worldvillage.com today. It was around site number 10,000 on the web. 25 years. I feel super old when I say that.
That there were only 10,000 sites should be the real bell ringing there.
The reason I say this is I knew when I built that site that this World Wide Web thing was going to be something important. I didn't know exactly how it was going to play out, but I'm like, this is the next big thing. People will go to their computers and they will go on the web and they will shop and they will interact and they will get information. This is going to be big. And I knew it then. So in early 2017, I discovered blockchain technology and cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and decentralization. And when I understood it, that same feeling that I had in early 1995, I had in 2017. I said, oh my gosh, this is a game changer. This is going to disrupt so many industries that years down the road, we're going to look back and we're going to go, that was just the beginning of it. And that's kind of where we are right now. We're kind of in web years. Blockchain is, I would say, 1996, 1997. We're still at the very early phases, but just like what happened with the dot-com boom in 98 and 99, and then the crash, and then the real boom, that's all coming for blockchain. Governments, Fortune 500 companies, payments, banks, they're all building blockchain solutions right now. That these solutions that basically, think of it as a fancy database that's going to solve so many problems. And so Travis and I started the podcast 3 years ago, 2 days ago, on July 18th, 2017. It's a whole bunch of anniversaries going on right now. And our goal was to learn more about blockchain and crypto and take people with us. So when we started the show, we were far from experts, and we still aren't, although we've learned quite a bit. And we've done over 600 broadcasts. We've interviewed and talked to some of the biggest movers and shakers in the world in blockchain and cryptocurrency. And I just encourage people to learn about this, because it's going to impact your life. There is coming a day, and probably soon, where we won't be using fiat currency, paper dollars anymore. We're going to be using a digital dollar. We're going to be using other cryptos, perhaps Bitcoin. And understanding this now is a really good idea, especially if you are in business. Hear me out. If you are in business, let's say you were Blockbuster in 1995, would you want somebody coming to you and saying, you're going to be disrupted and you're going to go out of business? Right? Because that's what Netflix did to them and all streaming services now. If you were a retailer, would you want to know that Amazon, the juggernaut, was coming for you? If you were Canon and you had the best-selling phone, would you want to know that Apple was coming for you? Whatever your industry is, I don't care if you're in insurance, retail, medical, travel, whatever your business is, blockchain is coming for you. There's going to be competitors that beat you to the punch in applications of it that are going to make them more agile, faster, better, more effective, more efficient. So you need to learn this before you wake up one day and go, what the hell just happened?
And a lot of people, it'll impact them just like that. They'll wake up one day and it'll be a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, what happened? Well, what happened? And, I remember when Blockbuster tried to diversify, right? They're like, oh, we're going to do DVDs by mail, but they didn't see the big picture of what Netflix was doing. They didn't understand as Netflix was acquiring, the ability to do bandwidth and technologies that would allow them to stream, that the big plan was to go fully digital and no more shipping DVDs. And so you got to be on top of this. The one certainty that we have for sure, besides death and taxes, is that everything changes.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think one of our recent Little Tip video blogs covered that, Jen. Didn't we talk about how you better get on board? It's going with or without you. I suggest you get on the train, enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Joel, I am curious, what do businesses look like on these blockchain sites so far? So like a lot of our audience are salespeople with big ticket items, real estate, mortgages, financial planners, that kind of thing. What are they looking like on these blockchain sites right now?
Let's, for example, let's talk about real estate. There are people that are, putting their homes on blockchain and selling fractional pieces, for real estate investors. You buy a token that's a security where you own a piece of a property. And whether you own a piece of it or you own the entire property, think about what we go through now to own something, right? We have this paper deed that we have to have, right? And that can be lost. It can get burned up in a fire. There can be disputes over it. When you sell a piece of property that is, the deed is on the blockchain, there's no dispute about that record or that transaction. First of all, because it's public, anybody can go look at it and see the record. Secondly, because it's digital, it can't be burned up. It's distributed, so it's not in one place. It's on the blockchain, on the full network of nodes on the computer. It can't be stolen from the blockchain. It's like somebody, you can't hack the blockchain. Now, somebody that's careless can lose their keys or their password, as they do for their traditional bank accounts or for PayPal or whatever, right? But you can't hack the blockchain itself, at least not now. And so you've got this proof and you can't change it. Once it's on blockchain, it's written there. There's no way to go in and edit it and say, oh, I'm going to put my name on this instead. So, blockchain, think about applying those principles to anything that requires records, that requires payments. Think about it in terms of banking, that the disputes you have with your bank about, oh, I wrote this check or this check was cash. It's all public. All you got to do is go look. The disputes aren't there anymore. It resolves itself. And the billions of dollars, billions that blockchain will save in these lost costs of just support, of trying to make issues right, is phenomenal. Think about one example I really love is musicians, right? Musicians they produce some really quality stuff, and then they go on Spotify and they earn hardly anything for their streams, right? Peter Frampton, who wrote a couple classics that, Show Me the Way and Do You Feel Like We Do. He once said that he had something like 50 million streams of a song and earned, like, get this, $1,500. It's nothing. Well, that's because Spotify pretty much, they get the money from their subscriptions, and musicians don't have too much alternative. Well, what if they were able to sell their music through a blockchain-based platform? That the moment somebody goes and buys that piece of music, they have proof that they own it. And in that moment, a smart contract is executed that immediately distributes the payment for that song or that album to the musician. And that smart contract can say the musician gets 20% of it, immediately into his wallet. The moment that transaction takes place, it's divided. The bass player gets 5%. The singer's mom gets 2.5%. The agent gets 5%. The moment that music is purchased, you have you have documentation that you actually own that song. It's on blockchain. Everybody gets paid, and they get paid fast. You don't wait. I've written a number of books, and my royalties lag 6 months after the 6-month period. So basically you're a year behind. Put books and royalties on blockchain, and the author gets paid immediately. Everybody gets paid immediately.
That would be nice. Yeah, it's definitely
it's coming.
Okay, I'll buy that. And it's certainly
this is how it is going to be. This is not, hey, that if we can dream this. This is happening. We have companies that are actively either have built or are building these solutions right now.
And getting us away from the existing broken platform. Right.
Think about the fulfillment chain, right? Shipping for, you manufacture a bunch of stuff, maybe in China, maybe somewhere else. They get put on a ship, and they're in this crate, and you've got these ship manifests. This is in there. This is in there. This is in there. You've got, people stealing stuff along the way. Then it arrives, and you've got people checking in. You got people stealing stuff. If you put items on blockchain, you're tracking every single step of the way where it's at, and where your loss is happening without any doubt because it's tracking it. And so you could tell, this is why you've got some companies that are tracking, like lettuce, where the lettuce is coming from the farm to the table. They can track every step those heads of lettuce have taken into the store and account for every head of lettuce because each shipment is on blockchain.
Wow. This is huge for Apple, for Samsung, for Sony, for auto manufacturers. Just on and on. Yep.
Oh, absolutely. Your VIN on blockchain, your physical goods are, it's going to be a big part of determining what belongs to who, and it eliminates middlemen, right? This is really tough for realtors. Okay. And if you're a realtor, this is coming. There will be a day that I can list my house on a site, and somebody will be able to buy it directly from me, and you don't get your 6%. And that site will be happy to take 1% to facilitate that transaction because they don't have to have the offices and the staff and the team. They are going to replace you. It is going to happen. I know people say you can't replace the personal touch And maybe there will be agents that figure out how to leverage this to still get their percent to have the personal touch. But the world is changing, and it's coming, ready or not.
That's a big statement. I really hope our audience is hearing that. If there was ever a more important time to be on the train that is pulling into the technology station, this is the time to be on it. Joel, tell us the name of the podcast so that Jen can post that. We can
Sure.
and
It's
our
called
audience can find you.
The Bad Crypto Podcast. It's bad not because crypto is bad or blockchain is bad, but when we started the show, Travis and I are a couple of 12-year-olds, and we're going to do a lot of bad dad jokes on it. We're going to have fun. We're going to play with our guests and have a good time and make it easy. I've built a career in teaching out of making seemingly complex subject matter easy to understand and digest. And so with, blockchain and Bitcoin and crypto can be really intimidating to people. And our goal is to bring it to the masses in a way that they understand. And so the Bad Crypto Podcast, badcryptopodcast.com, and we're in all the places that you would find podcasts.
Very cool. And yeah, I have to agree. I would like to consider us and our little operation to be relatively technically savvy, and we certainly try to stay abreast with what goes on in the world. Obviously, we participate in Social Media Day. Jen and I went to the Podfest earlier this year, right before the world started to fall apart. And these things, blockchain, cryptocurrency, still very intimidating, even for somebody who's got a really good grip on being a tech end user. So, yeah, I'm sure that the masses are terrified.
Well, but they don't have to be. It's not
Right.
that complicated. You just have to take time to understand it. And when you do, you're going to be ahead of most people, and you're going to start seeing solutions, maybe in this audience right now. You've got the full range of people. You've got those that are going, he's crazy. Realtors will never be replaced. That personal touch will never be replaced. Okay, that's fine. I have one word for you in multiple syllables, blockbuster. Or the same people that said when, they revealed the first cars that they would never replace horses. Okay. How's that? I'm looking down the street here in Denver. I don't see any horses on the street right now. And then you have others that are paying attention or going, you know what? This makes a lot of sense. Go down the rabbit hole, whether you get it from, Bad Crypto, or go to, YouTube and search for what is blockchain. Put in blockchain mortgage and see what comes up. Go search for stuff, go learn, go down the rabbit hole, and you'll discover that not only is it go deep, but the deeper you go, the wider it goes, because the applications are just so multitudinous. I think I just made up a word.
I like it.
Yeah, maybe. We'll have to check with Webster, but if irregardless can be a word, Joel, I think you're a shoo-in.
It shouldn't be, but it is.
It shouldn't be, but it is. Thank you, Webster, for dumbing it down for the masses. We love it. Oh,
2020.
my. All right, and Joel, we know that you're into a number of other things other than your podcast. How can our audience find you?
I'm right here. Come at me, bro.
Come at me, bro.
I'm here in Denver, actually.
There are going to be realtors with torches and pitchforks. So
Right.
give us a physical location.
Okay, don't come at me, but I do live in Denver, and joelcomm.com is my website, and on all the socials, I'm at Joel Comm, and you'll know it's me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, because I'm verified there. And check out some of the alternative sites. There's a great decentralized alternative site where you can earn crypto, like Instagram, only it's not Instagram. It's called Rebuzz, REBUZZ.io, and it works really great. I'm on there as at Joel Comm, and you can earn Buzz tokens, which are convertible to real world dollars.
Wow. This is really cool stuff.
Because I don't think Instagram's ever paying you for your content, are they?
No.
No. None of them are.
No, actually, no. And even the people who have figured out how to convert that content into actual dollars still aren't getting it from any of those actual platforms. I mean,
Right.
I like Who-Man. Who-Man's a great example. His stuff's funny as hell. His shampoo pranks and his gold digger pranks and his Uber pranks and so on and so forth. But the only way he's actually rolling the way that he's rolling is because there are other companies that sponsor him and tell him, hey, mention our clothing line, our energy drink, whatever the case may be, in your content, and we'll pay you. It's not that YouTube is paying him.
Right. Of course they're not. I mean, you do get a little fragment of, advertising dollars, in your AdSense account if you run ads on YouTube as well. But remember, they can shut you down. I've had plenty of people I know that were building their career. Well, even not being shut down by what you say. Think about Vine, right? Remember when we had Vine celebrities? And then one day they pulled the plug on Vine, and these people who built their career on it. What about these TikTok people? What if TikTok does get banned in the US? And while I'm not a fan of government regulation, I think the fact that we're dealing with an app from China that is spying on US citizens, especially young people, I actually could get behind that. Well, I know people that they've built their career on TikTok. Bye-bye. There it goes. Now what are you going to do?
Go back to being an Instagram model.
All right. I'm an Instagram model.
Oh, absolutely you are. There's no question. I see you with the Starbucks cups all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Joel, as usual, although this one's a little more exacerbated, we're always pretty surprised by how quickly a half hour whips by. If you're open to it, we'd love to have you back.
Absolutely. Happy to. And I want to do a giveaway. Can we do a giveaway?
Absolutely. What do you guys have in mind?
Well, one of the things that I manufactured and sold over the years was a promotional item that I did for my book, Ka-Ching. I wrote the book and it came out on John Wiley & Sons in 2011. And in order to get the attention of editors, I wanted to send them a little Ka-Ching button. And I, kind of like a Staples button. That was easy. I looked around. There wasn't such a thing. So I made one. And this is the Ka-Ching button.
Oh,
that's what it does.
It says
you've got money on it right there. And I made them just to send to editors, and people started asking me, how do I get one of those? And so I started selling them and taking PayPal from people. And then shipping these became a big deal. I'm like, how else do I sell these? Well, thank you, Jeff Bezos, because Amazon began fulfilling products. So I just ship a couple thousand to Amazon at a time, and they sell every day. Like clockwork on Amazon.com. And I want to give one of these away to somebody, and you guys decide how it'll be given away. Get me their name and address, and I will ship it to them.
Cool. What do you have in mind, Jen?
So we've been talking about, not having all of your social media work on one site. And as we mentioned, Adam has been banned from Facebook for 30 days because of a loaf of bread. 30 days is a long time.
Oh, it's a loaf of dough. Let's not exaggerate here. It hadn't baked yet. It was just dough.
Okay. But we are working on building up our Twitter audience so that you guys can keep up with all the video work we are doing. So head over to Twitter. Adam's handle is at Adam P. Smith 1, the number 1. And I tweeted out the link to this live video. So just go over there and retweet it. And we will pick a winner from there, and I'll get you their info, Joel. So be sure to follow Adam and retweet that tweet for us.
Very cool. And let's not pull any punches. I'm still a bit of a twittiot. I know it's huge, obviously.
We're working on it.
Aaron has talked to us about Twitter. And forgive me,
Laura
talked to all these great social media day people that we've met over the years. So yes, I know that I do need to spend more time learning additional social media platforms, and now we're going to delve into the blockchain platforms as well. Thank you, Joel. Hopefully we get to dive into that a little deeper the next time we have you on. But yeah, thank you. I know your time is precious, so thank you for doing the podcast with us.
Yes, it's my pleasure.
Yes, thank you, Joel, so much.
All right, and for the rest of you that are watching now live in syndication, listening to the podcast, you can certainly get more episodes of this, How I Met Your Mortgage. This is our 3rd season, and we're about halfway through, it looks like. And if you will use the text code TIPS, Text that to 63566. You can find more episodes. You can certainly connect with Joel or Jen or myself. You can see the weekly little tip, our video blog that goes out every week, at least when Facebook hasn't banned us for posting a video of a loaf of bread kneading in the bread machine. Zuck, I hope you're listening. Come on, man. Get back with the program. If you want a copy of my book, Just the Tips, I don't know that you'll get an autographed one like Joel did, but whatever it is you want to know about us, use that text code. Again, text tips to 63566. And yeah, Joel, thanks again for joining us.